I'm BJ Kicks. On behalf of OPB, I wanted to welcome you to the channel, and I want to give you an exclusive look at the Bitter Root Omnibus hardcover, just in case you were deciding if you wanted to come over to the website and pre-order it or order it, because the book is out right now. So Bitter Root is an awesome story about monster hunters set during the Harlem Renaissance, and boy, is it awesome. So instead of talking all through this, I'm just going to go ahead and get straight to the overview, shall we? All right, so today we are taking a look at the Bitter Root Omnibus Book 1 hardcover, written by David Walker and Chuck Brown, with art by Sanford Greene. One of my favorite things that I've read since I started reading comics about 4 years ago. This is a cover image by Sanford Greene, the series artist. Before we get a look inside, let's take a look at the spine. This is not like a connecting spine or anything like that, but you got this nice spot gloss with the Bitter Root logo there. And let's talk about the back. It says, for generations, the Sangreer family has fought to protect the world from the evil plague of the Jinnu, hideous creatures born out of hate and racism. But now the family was facing even greater evil that has arisen to destroy humanity and threatens to rip the family apart. So, with that context, this it has a cover price of $59.99. You can get that a lot lower, of course, at Organic Price Books. Link in the description. This collects issues 1 through 15 of Bitter Root, which is the full series, and then the Bitter Root Red Summer special. And it is rated M for mature, mostly because of, like, you know, the monster and sort of scary imagery. So, speaking of scary imagery, right here we've got a whole bunch of Jinnu, which we'll learn more about here in a bit. So opening this up to the title page, of course, Bitter Root Omnibus Book 1. And so we've got our series credits. It's written by David Walker, Chuck Brown, and the art's by Sanford Greene, but the three of them together created this series. And then color artists Rico Renzi and Sanford Greene, Sophie Dodson, and so very cool stuff. I'm not going to read everybody's name out. But then you've got your table of contents, and basically we've got the actual story, like the issues, but then we've also got something called Bitter Truths that you'll read along through, and we'll talk about it as we get into it. But nice chapter layout. There's even an afterword by Dennis Cowan, friend of the channel. And here we go. Got our introduction by Jason Johnson, who is a professor of politics and journalism at Morgan State University. And he also has a PhD from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels. Anyway, we'll move this light around a little bit so we're not getting so much glare off the pages. There we go. And here we go. We start off with a family tree of the Sangreers, and then we will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to talk to you guys about what this series is about. So this series is about a family of monster hunters that is set during the Harlem Renaissance period in American history. So, you know, 1920s, early to mid 1920s. And basically what is going on is that there are these monsters, and we're finding these monsters all over the place. And the monsters are called Jinnu. And the Sangreer family is just like had a decades or centuries long tradition of curing Jinnu. What I love about this book is that it combines a lot of different elements of, like, kind of straight up African American folklore and just sort of family heirlooms. I don't know how you describe, like, just Black culture and how Black culture, especially Black culture in the South, has been passed down from generation to generation. But anyway, we've got this family who is known for curing the Jinnu. And so basically helping them to not be infected and go back to being regular citizens. Now, the Jinnu are citizens, or, you know, people who have been infected by the seeds of hate or hatred, right? And so generally that hate takes form of racism. And so the more that you let the anger and hatred associated with racism consume you, the more you devolve and devolve until you eventually become this sort of monster here. And that's where this family comes in. So there are some of them who fight the Jinnu, and some of them, and the women who generally or traditionally would be the ones like actually mixing up the herbs, doing the root work to create the cure for these people to go in and then subdue these beasts. Well, as we open up this book in the middle of Harlem, we are learning that there are more and more monster sightings in Harlem, where, we've been sort of seeing these monsters like in other areas, like in the South, like, from Reconstruction era and where the Klan is active and stuff like that. And so the series takes place both in Harlem and in Mississippi. And in the Sangrier family, they've been doing this monster hunting thing for a minute. And so there are some of them who have the feeling that, hey, this racism, these Jinnu can be cured. And there are others of them that are like, nah, we just need to eradicate them. Like, let's just, put them out of their misery. Let's kill them. There's no saving these people. And that's kind of the two factions at work. And then there's sort of a third. That kind of gets introduced throughout these pages. And I'll let you find out what that third sort of faction or uprising of discourse is. But anyway, so as we're going through the book, you can see like there's different art, different styles in here. I think right now we're looking at the Red Hook or Red Summer special. But and while I'm going through and kind of showing you the artwork without spoiling the story, I'll tell you what I like about this. So this book is very much like a sort of steampunk book. And you've got like, sort of classic monster hunting, monsters that look different from any monsters you've seen before. And it's a book that is just very much visually interesting. The character work is great. The sort of conflicts that you have even among family members are great. And this would be a great book if it was just a monster hunting book, right? But then you add this layer of the sort of meta commentary about, what does it mean to let hatred consume you? What does it mean to be victimized? What does it mean? How do those things affect you? How do these things live in our psyche? And how do they sort of present themselves as they continue to impact us on a daily basis? So all of that is a part of this series. And then this book is like so black, right? And it's funny because it's like, this is a book that's not made necessarily just for Black people. Like, absolutely not. It's a great book that anyone can enjoy. But why it resonated with me so much is, I'm a Black kid from the South with roots in the North as well, right? Like my grandmother grew up on a tobacco farm in North Carolina, moved to New York, went to an Ivy League school, raised her kids in New York, and now we're back in the South. But anyway, so there's cultural aspects of this book that are just like amazing. Like you wouldn't necessarily recognize them as cultural if you weren't of that culture. But the whole idea of root work and mixing in herbs and, natural cures and holistic cures for diseases known and unknown, that's just like been a thing since Africa, right? And it's been passed down through generations. That's in this book. There are like countless references to different aspects of Black culture with these variant covers. This is a Sean Martinborough cover that is a clear homage to New Jack City, for example. And there's like little things like that where it's just like, if you know, you know. But even if you don't know, look at this. Like these pages are amazing, no matter like what is going on, no matter who you are reading it. But then on top of all of that, for those who may be like not, here's another one. This is an homage to Juice, one of my favorite movies. But even if you are like uninitiated, then you've got these essays, organized into sections called Bitter Truths. You got these essays from different African-American studies professors, scholars, teachers, authors, and they are connecting the themes that you see in this book with like other themes throughout like the history of Black life in America, the African diaspora, Black art. We've got one about Bitterroot and the Black speculative legacy of Zora Neale Hurston, right? This series touches on things like the Tulsa Massacre, right? Like things like slave uprisings. All of that is here. And you get the real world context in these Bitter Truths essays. And even if you don't read these, right? Like this just all reminds me of my time in school because I was an African American studies major. I read academic writings like this all the time. And I think that I've never seen this in a comic book before or since. So you've got so much to chew on. And these were kind of stuffed at the back of every issue of Bitterroot if you read it in singles. But even if you didn't, now it's in this hardcover. You can skip past them if you want to. I think they add so much more to like your understanding of the context surrounding the story. Because while this is certainly a monster hunting book, it's certainly a work of fiction, so much of it is rooted in real life. I mean, this book opens up with a shot of Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. Like, again, if you know, you know. And if you are uninitiated, it's okay. Like, because the book on its own is great, even without all those extras. But man, when it's hitting, it's hitting. So anyway, we are coming toward the back of the book, and I don't want to spoil anything for you, but just look at this art. I hope you've been seeing this art has not taken a step down in any of the pages. And man, I am so excited about this. Now, since they wrapped this series with issue 15, this is the cover of issue 14. But since they wrapped this series with issue 15, they did announce at Heroes Con last year that they're going to be revisiting the Bitter Roots. The Sangarier family, will return in a brand new series called Bitterroot 1965. I haven't gotten any word on a release date for that yet. I imagine we'll get more information, sometime in the next couple of months. Very excited to see the return of this, but man, so much is here. Like, there's lost family members, there's family dynamics that you didn't see before. This looks like that dude, Sterling Brown. That's his name, Sterling Brown, who was at the beginning of Black Panther. But anyway, there's so many elements of this book. Like, you'll fall in love with different members of this family. The grandmother specifically, I love, but I also love the character Blink, who just wants to be one of the guys. She don't want to be a guy, but she wants to be a fighter for sure. But man, there's so much that I love about this book. Look at that. That's W.E.B. Du Bois's head. Like, what? Just great stuff. Great references to African American literature, academic writings, fiction. Like, this is if you were looking for a book to celebrate Black History Month, even though Black History Month is past, read this. And this is a cover by Dennis Cowan, by the way. This is about as good as it gets, right? Look at the Akira variant. So many variant covers, so many extras. Man, this is one of those books that like I didn't know was a thing as it was coming out, and I kind of learned about it a lot later. And I wish I had learned about it before. It's in production to be a film. I think Regina King is signed on to be a producer on the film of Boondocks fame. And man, there's just so much that is great. And I mean, absolutely great about this book. There's a reason it won the Best Continuing Series Eisner Award twice. Twice it did. Anyway, that's the book. You can grab it at organicpricedbooks.com. I've already been talking way too long, so I'll see you in another overview real soon. Until then, peace.